The Tommy Boyd Radio Experiment.
Tommy Boyd on Talk Radio.
I've made it my pledge to go to Iain Lee the moment he was with us, so I made a technical mistake and I didn't realise he's been waiting. Iain!
Hey Tommy Boyd, how you doing, man?
Oh, it's irrelevant. How are you doing?
Listen, I know it was only a TV show, and TV shows are what they are, but it was a very strange, immersive, it has been a month-long experience, including the 2 weeks I was in lockdown, had my phone and computer confiscated. So I'm feeling very, very weird, you know, after being in an ever-diminishing group of people, some of whom I really liked and some of whom I didn't get on with so well, to suddenly be in what is considered to be a luxurious hotel, but actually it's quite garish and over the top. It's a very strange vibe.
Yeah, I have to say, Iain Lee, on a personal note, you know, you and I have known each other in different ways for a long time, and I see you now slightly differently, but not enormously differently, because I always suspected that you are who you are, and yet it took a programme like that for it to be laid bare who you really are. And I want to say to you, and I think an awful lot of people in Britain now realise this, you're a bloody good bloke. Thank you, man.
That means a lot, you know, and here's the weird thing. We've been emailing each other and texting each other for years, and we only met once very, very briefly about 3 or 4 weeks ago when you were sitting in for me. But that means a lot, and
can you take it? You're going to get a lot of compliments like that. Are you any good at compliments?
Oh, I'm terrible, but do you know what I'm going to do? What I'm learning to do is I'm learning to go, thank you very much, that's very kind, I appreciate it.
Good. It was a hell of a thing. What do you think you'll take away in a year's time will be your main flashbulb memories of a long period of time? We often sort of end up with 2 or 3 particular little zing moments.
Yeah. There are some big obvious things for me. You know, I'm terrified of heights, and one of the trials I had to do was walk along this balsa wood space station 100 feet in the air, collecting stars and all of this silly nonsense you have to do. And I had to jump from the edge of this balsa wood thing, jump forwards and up and grab a giant star. And I was absolutely petrified. But I did the Serenity Prayer before I did it, because that kind of calms me down. I thought of my children watching it and thinking they will think this looks cool and funny. And I did it, and it was flipping terrifying. And I thought they told me when I leapt for that star that I would just hang there. So when I started falling, for a millisecond, I thought this has gone horribly wrong, and this is going to be one of those terrible tragedies. Of course, they attached me to a bungee rope and hadn't bothered telling me. So there's that, and there was also a moment that they created a fictional pub in the jungle, and there was a moment when I was sat down at the table, and Stanley Johnson, who is, you know, a writer and an activist, and by coincidence, father of the Foreign Secretary. I think he's still the Foreign Secretary, I don't know. And he was singing We'll Meet Again by Vera Lynn. And I just thought, this is one of the oddest moments ever. This is such an odd experience to be in the middle of nowhere in the jungle watching this guy singing this. And but one of my favourite moments, last one, was I haven't seen my sister, Tommy, for 2.5 years because she emigrated to New Zealand. And one day I was told to go down into the camp on my own where we collect wood from to do the fire. And as I walked down there, I had no idea what was going on. And and all the, you know, the cameras everywhere filming everything. And I turned the corner, and there was my beautiful sister.
Wow.
And I hadn't seen her for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And it was such a thrill. You know, I was over the moon. It was so unexpected. I was at I was at very low ebb because it was near the end and I was exhausted and filthy. And my beautiful sister was there. So that was a real treasure.
Yeah. Now, so many questions. Can I start with a boring? No.
You can ask me anything you want. You know that.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring in one of your favourite people, and everybody who listens to the show regularly knows the two of you, almost like a broadcasting couple.
Gosh.
Kath.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Alan Caddick for a second.
Actually, he's on the other line. Do you want to speak to him instead?
Yeah, go on then.
No, Alan, stay where you are.
Go on.
Let's let Kath have a chat with Iain?
Well, I don't know. We've already discussed the trauma of watching what happened from my perspective.
We spoke briefly on the phone yesterday. You were one of the first people I spoke to, and it was such a thrill. It's weird because I've obviously had my experience in there and all of the, the emotions and all of that went with it. But the experience I'm finding for my friends and family, is obviously completely different. And I didn't really think of the ripple effects. Now, there have been some negative things like the press turning up at my mother-in-law's door for and asking her all kinds of personal questions. Yeah. But then there's been some positive things. And I know that you quite you quite enjoyed it towards the end, didn't you, Kath?
I did. I really liked the fact that, once the numbers got whittled down, I felt that you were more relaxed and you were able to be yourself. When you phoned me, I was with my kids and they were thrilled to bits to be able to talk to you about, the rocket challenge where they saw you jump in for the star. And we also discussed the fact that you'd eaten some quite revolting things, again, which delighted and appalled my kids in equal measure.
Yeah, the kids like eating the revolting things. My boys are thrilled that some parts of the animal's anatomies I ate. Here's the thing about the thing about the trials and the challenges is they're a huge part of the show, but when you're there, they're a really, really tiny part of the experience. You may not do a trial or a challenge for 2, 3, 4 days, and when you do, it's 2 hours out of the camp, so it's something to do and it stops you going mad. But they're a tiny part, and all of the things. I was so looking forward to an eating challenge because I can eat anything. You know me, Kath. I will put anything in my mouth for money.
I saw the face that you did on the last one where you said, right, I'm going to look at this and then I'm going to look away and then I'm going to eat it. I've seen that face a few times with you where we've been out on... especially when we went to Bratislava and we were dished up various things in Slovakia where we were told to basically try things and we were trying to be desperately polite and it looked awful. But I've seen that face before. But, I mean, you really went for it.
But the eating thing, honestly, I was hamming up the eating thing because it was quite easy.
Apart from the scorpions, that was actually horrible, wasn't it?
No, well, the scorpions, they didn't taste nice and I couldn't swallow it.
What do they taste of? Don't say chicken.
Bitter. No, scorpions don't. They're very, very bitter. They had a kind of a sac inside them that when you crushed, this horrible bitter juice came out. The thing with the foods, Tommy, was it was primarily the texture that was the issue.
Did you have to eat any live animals?
No.
No, I was
They've stopped doing that, haven't they?
I don't know. I don't know. 'Cause I'm not an expert on the programme. I watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here for the first time, largely in the company of Kath, in the studio, waiting to go on the air, covering for Iain Lee, whose show this is on Talk Radio, dear listener, especially for new listeners. For example, Becca, who said listening to Talk Radio for the first time because of Iain Lee, definitely going to be a regular listener from now on. Yeah. And I've also got a tweet, I don't know if it's genuine, it's from Toff, and it says, wait, is there a Talk Radio app? What's it called if there is? That may or may not be a genuine toff.
It sounds a bit toffish.
Sounds a bit toffish, actually. So,
does sound a bit
toffish. Obviously she's listening somehow or another. So just stay where you are, Toff. But thank you for that. So I wondered about the live animals thing. They change it. I was sitting.
There are live creatures there that get dropped on you, and ethically, it's a bit iffy.
Do you know what I was really, really impressed by? And I think a lot of people were, when you picked up the rat.
Isn't it funny? This is one of the things I noticed and I found fascinating. Everybody in there had different things, different phobias, and they were phobias that, things that they were genuinely terrified of. For me, it was heights and spiders. And snakes and rats the snakes and rats in that context do not bother me in the slightest. So I was happy to pick up the rats because I knew they'd all been bred for this purpose. They were
pet shop rats, right? And I used to have rats as a student. We had pet rats, so I wouldn't see them. Toff was losing her stuff over these rats that were, to me, looked quite sweet. And at one point, you reached over and picked one up and moved him very gently. And I think that's the first time I've ever seen someone, and I'm a Celebrity, treat a rat like a creature rather than an obstacle.
Yeah. Oh no, I like the rats. I like I like the snakes. And also, here's the thing. There's a very silly game where we had to put out, me and Fizz from Coronation Street had to put our heads in 10 different boxes, and using our tongues,
Oh God, that was
we
awful.
had to unwind a coin that was stuck to something. And in each box there would be spiders, there would be snakes, and we had alligators in one. But here's the thing: the alligators had their mouths taped up, so there was no hint of danger at all.
Could we see that? Could you see that could we, the viewers, see that the alligators?
I doubt it. You could see it if you got close.
See, I'm itching to talk to you about some of the subterfuge or theatre that goes on a show like that. But I'm sure you're contracted not to betray any of the truth of it all.
Tommy, you can ask me anything.
Right. So first of all, you and I have worked in telly, and everybody's watched telly. So I think we're all aware of the 3-camera shoot, with the centre camera being the wide, and then the 2 peripheral cameras being singles on, blah, 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 blah. Right. Yeah. Well, sometimes you were in group shots of half a dozen or more, and yet as you bobbed around in the conversation and nobody knew who was going to say what next, everybody seemed to have a single. There seemed to be a 2-shot on anybody who was standing next to each other who was going to have a little conversation with the person next to them. And obviously there's the classic wide, which is presumably static. Can you see all these cameras, and are they manned or are they remote and camouflaged?
It depends. When you're out doing the live trials with Ant and Dec, it's like being in a huge television studio, and there are about 40 or 50 people watching you. And I would say 8 or 9 cameras. Yeah. When you're doing the smaller challenges where Ant and Dec aren't there, it's a smaller crew, but there are probably 2 cameras and a crew of about 10. Okay. And occasionally they will get you to do something again. Okay. And when you're in the camp, we saw no one. Hardly anyone came into the camp, and there were cameras fixed on trees that could be operated remotely. Okay. There was a fake. Opposite the camp, there was like a fake sort of rock face that had, I think, 3 giant cameras poking out, but you couldn't see the cameramen. And then, so when you were on in the camp itself, there were probably, I think I counted about 20 cameras trained on you. Some of them operated by people holding them that you couldn't see, and the rest were remotely operated.
And are they directing and cutting it live, or are the cameras slaved off to tapes and they do a quick cut later?
The cameras are moving around, and you can see them switching from person to person.
They haven't got a red light on them.
No red light. There's no red light. You don't know you're being filmed. And then I spoke to some of the editors last night. So their job is then to get all of this raw footage and cut it into a slick-looking TV show.
Right. Talking to Iain Lee, whose show this is. I'm just Tommy Boyd looking after it until he gets back, which I'm told it might be next Monday, but we don't know. It's up to you, isn't it, really? Kathy's here. The two of them know each other inside out, but I've just stolen the thunder for a second because I've always been fascinated at how they make television programmes. And I hope you, listening as well, are fascinated by that side of it too. Do you hang your own microphones around your necks, or does somebody come and mic you up in the morning?
You are microphoned 24 hours a day, and you wear it while you're asleep. And in the afternoon at 5 o'clock, we will get sent off out of the camp to meet a very jolly man called Murray, who would change your battery. And then someone would come and change your battery at 5 o'clock in the morning while you were asleep. But they always woke me up while they were doing it.
So you were even mic'd up when you were on the loo?
Yes, but I would always put my hand very tightly over the microphone for some sense. There was no camera in the loo. That was the only place there wasn't a camera. But yes, you were mic'd up.
All right. Sorry. Quick, very short story. Who was the woman who sang "There's No Business Like Show Business"? Ethel Merman. Great voice. Did the Palladium. Went to the loo half-time during the show, and whoever was on sound forgot to take dip her mic. So what you heard was the clang of the door, the rustle of the underclothes, the rest of the noise, because it was number 1 and number 2.
Oh no!
But throughout it, she was still humming.
That's show business.
Probably not true. Kath, what else are you aching to ask him?
I'm aching to ask. Oh gosh, we've had so many conversations already.
You by the way, you guys can ask me anything. There is no contractual obligation, so I can talk about anything.
Okay, here we go. All right. So I've been manning your Twitter feed, and I know that people have been really, really sympathetic as to what's been going on with you, what's been perceived to have been going on with you, with the group dynamic and the guys, basically, guys and Rebecca Vardy. So what would you say to all those people who defended you in the belief that you were being bullied?
This is a tough thing. Okay, I wouldn't use the word bullied because bullied is a very, very strong word, and I wouldn't say bullied. I got on well, I thought, with everyone. I had a couple of run-ins with Dennis Wise, the footballer, and a couple of run-ins with Jamie, including a couple that I know weren't shown on TV, where he accused me of spying on him and all this kind of stuff. And I got on very well with Amir Khan, the boxer. And then yesterday, as you come out, they like to cause controversy. As I came out, they were filming me and showing me clips of the show that I wouldn't have seen. And it was those three gentlemen and Rebecca Vardy, all in various combinations, talking about me behind my back and accusing me of being a liar and being a fake and having a game plan, whatever that means. And Amir, who I consider to be a good friend, telling lies about me and going along with their, rudeness and obnoxiousness about me. And they were saying I wasn't focused, and there was a trial I couldn't do because I'm not a very strong swimmer, and they said it was because I was weak and I hadn't made an effort.
That trial was bloody awful. It was too small for you, that box, and I've seen your shoulders wedged into it. I mean, for heaven's sakes.
And I can't. It was 3 meters down, and it was almost exactly 3 meters down. I can't swim underwater. That's my thing. And seeing that, and particularly Amir, seeing that upset me a lot, and made me think, okay, perhaps I wasn't as close to Amir as I thought I was, and there was a lot more going on than perhaps I thought. I wouldn't say I was being bullied, but there was certainly, I would say, some hostility towards me, and some, people saying I was isolating through my own volition. There was certainly pressure put on me to exclude myself from the group slightly.
What time is it where you are?
It is. I don't know. Let me look at the watch.
But it's early
20
morning.
to 9.
Is
20
it?
to 9 in the morning. Yeah.
What have you got to do next after us?
I am going for. We're all going for a big breakfast at 9:30, and it's going to be all of the friends and family as well as everyone that's in the show. And then this afternoon at 2:30, I'm flying to New Zealand to surprise my niece and nephew, who I've not seen for 2.5 years. So I'm going to rock up at their house.
So what I'm asking is, can we have you for a little bit longer? Are we going to pay the rent in a minute and all that? Good.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Okay, this is the Iain Lee Show on Talk Radio. Tommy Boy's looking after things until he gets back from I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Kath, his sort of broadcast other half, is here. If you would like to ask Iain any questions or talk to Iain about his experience, it's 0344 499 1000. I'll do that again slowly in just a second. If you've just arrived at Talk Radio because of watching Iain in the jungle, remember, it might be your mobile, but if you get through to the switchboard and we want you, we will call you back and pay for it. So that number is 0344 499 1000. This is Talk Radio.
The Tommy Boyd Radio Experiment.
Tommy Boyd on Talk Radio.
It's the Iain Lee Show. Iain is in Australia, just sort of getting his breath and warming down after I'm a Celebrity. And one of the listeners who's been keeping us in touch with all the minutiae whilst he's out there, Alan
Can you guess
Caddick,
which one? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
is champing at the bit. Alan?
Yes.
Alan, you're on.
Hip, 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 boss.
Hey, Alan, how's it going, man? I've missed you, buddy.
No, man, congratulations on Game Man. You did Talk Radio, really proud.
Thank you. Here's the thing. There's a few reasons why I did the show. The first one is, let's be honest, they wave you a very, very generous check in your face. Okay, so that was kind of a key factor, and let's not be shy about that. But it was the fourth or fifth time they've asked me to do it, and I've always said no. And one of the key things was, I am so proud of the radio show that Kath and I do, and as a fanboy, it's lovely, it's incredible to have Tommy sitting in. But I'm so proud of the show that I wanted to take it to a bigger audience. We get about, I think, 50,000 listeners, something like that, and I think it deserves a lot more. So I thought going on a huge mainstream entertainment show would hopefully attract some more listeners. And the other two reasons, very quickly, were my boys weren't born when I was on TV. They've never seen me on TV, really. So I wanted to show them the silly, ridiculous job that Daddy has. And also my mum, who's, is not very well and has had a bit of a rough time, and I knew that she would have a real giggle seeing me on there. So those were the driving factors behind it. But yeah, I'm glad, and hopefully we'll get some new listeners and some new callers, Alan.
Well, my family's been voting for you. I mean, my mum never seen what you looked like before we went in the jungle.
And what did she think?
She was impressed.
Ooh, lovely.
You're in.
Me and her have been voting for you every night.
Well, that's very kind, Alan. I really appreciate the support on coming out. Because obviously, when we're in there, we don't have computers, we don't have phones, we don't even have watches. It's very, very weird mind games where you're not allowed to know the time. So coming out and seeing the support from all different kinds of people and hearing that from your mum, that's really lovely, Alan. Thank you.
Gary calls from Catford, wants to talk to you, Ian.
Hi, boss. How's it going?
I love that brief dealing with Caddick. That was great. That was
He's a master.
Professionally done. Hey, Caddick, Gatford, how you doing, man?
I'm very well, thank you. I wonder if you could answer a question for me.
Yes.
Can you lend me about £4,000? I seem to have run up a bit of a phone bill.
I can lend it to you very, very easily now.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
I voted for you to do every task.
Oh, you absolute... Thanks.
No,
thanks.
no, that's fine. No, because the number of times you cut me off, I thought you deserved to eat, drink, and wallow in bugs.
I enjoyed the trials because it's so boring in there. You're not even allowed a pen or paper, so you are sat with your thoughts, which in some ways is very freeing, but it can also be, can be quite dull. So going out and I wanted to go out there and do things and confront fears and find out what I was scared of, find out what I could do. So whenever I got called for a trial, it was always a gas to go out and do it.
That pig's privates, though. I mean, I'm never going to let you forget that.
Well, yes, pig's noo-noo. I'm the first person on British television ever to eat a pig's noo-noo. How's about that? That's something for the Wikipedia page, isn't it?
Alex is next. I think Alex is a first-time caller or first-time listener or some such. Hello, Alex. You're through to Ian.
I'm not first time. In fact, just talking about pig's noo-noo, I think what we spoke about last time, Ian, was a flangita.
It might well have been, yes. I remember that call. I treasure it every day.
Yeah.
What you got for us, Alex?
You're good. I was just wondering how you're feeling now, and when you're coming back, because all of your listeners who love you are wondering that. We're wondering when you're going to be back, just doing your normal show, trying to be just yourself again.
Okay, I will tell you. I'm definitely back next week. Definitely back from Monday. Possibly, I don't know what Tommy's been told, so I don't know if Tommy's been told the whole week. I might be doing a show or two this week. I don't know. It's going to be tricky because I'm going to be in New Zealand in a place where I need the internet to do the show, and I don't know what the internet's going to be like. And I know that I will be travelling back home when I would be doing Friday show. So I can't do Friday. I get back in the UK on Sunday morning and I should be back on Monday. And I'm doing shows all over Christmas. I've got Christmas Day and Boxing Day off. But apart from that, I'm back and I'm raring to go because that, the radio is, as Tommy will tell you, that's not a job. That's just the funnest thing you can do, sitting in front of a microphone, talking to your mates and allowing thoughts to drop out of your mouth. It's a joy. So hopefully, and as for how I'm feeling, physically I'm really tired because I didn't sleep very well last night. My head is racing. Coming out from that bubble into a world of lights and photography and people shouting at you and stuff, it's a lot to process, so I'm kind of trying to enjoy the experience.
You can tweet us at talkRADIO. Donna's tweeted, how much weight did you lose in all, Ian?
The doctor, the medic there, Bob, said that I'd lost about 1.5 stone. I don't believe that. I did lose a lot of weight, but I've not got scales here, so I don't quite know. I would say about 1 stone.
Kay's next, calling from London. Kay, you're through. Ian's listening.
Hello. Hi, Ian.
Hey, Kay, how you doing?
I'm all right. Oh, you did so well. I'm proud of you.
Thank
that
you
sounds patronising, doesn't it? I don't mean it like that, but
no,
you
it
were
doesn't.
great.
It sounds very lovely.
Oh, and you know what was nice was seeing someone who is intelligent and witty and sharp being in one of these shows. No disrespect to anyone else, but, it just makes it more interesting seeing someone like you on there, I think.
Well, thank you. Here's the thing. I just went in and was myself. The first couple of days, I was a heightened version of myself because I was just...
Yeah.
I'd had almost 2 weeks in a hotel, unable to leave. I had a chaperone with me. And I didn't have a phone or a computer or any internet, so I was just kind of there going mad. The first couple of days I was so nervous and so overwhelmed. It was such a surreal experience. Here's the thing you don't see, right? When to get from the trials and the challenges, you sometimes would have to be driven there, okay? And they don't want you to know where you are. So you would be driven around in blacked out vehicles. You'd come out of the jungle, climb into a blacked out vehicle, get driven somewhere. And then when you came out of the vehicle to go to the trial, they would put towels over your head. It was like Guantanamo. They would put towels over your head.
Well,
and you would,
they weren't attaching electrodes or...
well, they did on one of the trials, actually. I did get electrodes.
We know what you mean.
But they would put a towel over your head, and you had to have your head down so you could see your feet. You would put your right hand out in front of you and put it on the shoulder of the person in front of you, and you would be led to the trial, and you couldn't see anything. It was the weirdest, most confusing thing. And you weren't allowed to know the time, and I don't know why, but every time we went out, the film crew would have bits of black tape over their watches, so you couldn't see the time. And they weren't allowed to talk to you either. So you'd ask them, what time is it? They just look at you.
Ian Lee is a guest.
Outside?
Ian Lee is a guest on Ian Lee's show. The queue's going around the block, Ian, which is why I'm just sort of rattling through everything, if that's okay with you. But you being a guest on your own show reminds me, did you ever see that Danny Baker late attempt at a late night sort of Saturday Night Live show? Danny Baker.
I was on it once.
Really? And I'm sure you were good.
I was on it as an audience member playing the drums.
Well,
blagging.
No, it's just I remember a joke that only Danny Baker could do, and only people of a certain ilk could get, and that was that at one point he told a joke sitting behind his desk with the microphone in front of him, and they cut to the audience reaction, and in the middle of the audience, just noticeable, laughing at the joke, was Danny Baker himself. And that's absolutely, isn't that Danny Baker? Anyway, Ian Lee is the main guest on the Ian Lee show tonight. Hannah Russell has, some tweets very quickly. What did Ian say to Dennis Wise when they met? I'll read you the tweets and you can answer whatever you like, all right? Yeah, What Fish says, what did Ian say to Dennis Wise when they met outside? Ian has said, can you ask Ian if it has much fun mucking about with Ant and Dec and it looks? Hannah says, could you ask Ian what kind of cake will he get from Nadia? What did Ian do whilst in hiding pre-jungle gaming TV patience? That's Pablo Bonzo.
I read a lot of books and listened to a lot of audiobooks.
Yes. Okay. Rebecca says, is there anything you wish you'd done differently, and what am I supposed to watch now?
Let me answer those questions. What did I say to Dennis Wise when I came out? It sounds like the start to a very bad joke, which perhaps it was. I shook his hand and said, I have no beef with you. When I was in lockdown, I just read and watched some terrible movies on the hotel TV and meditated. Was there anything I wish I'd done differently? No, I did it as me. That was me. And Kath will know that was me 100%, and that's the only way I could play it. And I'm really glad I ate those strawberries. I thought it was funny.
To Dom in Manchester. Dom, you're on.
Evening, chaps. You all right? Evening, boss.
Hello, Dom. Yeah, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. It's really good to see you. I was going to ask you about Twitter and just how many notifications did you have on your phone? How many when your phone got turned on?
I didn't have any notifications because I'm not dumb. I turned off Twitter notifications a long time ago, but I've got over 30,000 new followers on Twitter. It's taken me 10 years to get 50,000, and then in the space of 3 weeks, I've got another 30,000. And I couldn't read all of the tweets. I've kind of glimpsed at them and skimmed them, but I've not read all of them because there were just so many.
They were fantastic, weren't they? And who's of the people that have started following you and the people that have commented and give you the support, who's like really taking you aback and you thought, oh my God, they're aware of me, that person?
Gordon the Gopher.
Dolan's, obviously,
Gordon the Gopher is the big one. Who'd have thought Gordon the Gopher would be tweeting me? It's a dream come true, Tommy. It really is.
Jamie's tweet, in the 2 weeks doing nothing, did you write any of the book?
No, because they took my computer away, and I know pens and papers, but it gives you hand cramp.
Nat Kimber tweets, could you ask Ian, would he ever do it again? Did you enjoy your strawberries? Why did you confess to it?
The reason I confessed is because I'd done a bad thing, and I feel you have to be honest for your reactions. The main reason I confessed, and Tommy, you'll get this, I knew that it would be bloody excellent television. And that the strawberry thing for me was my Kaufman. I knew it would be great TV.
Right. Okay.
See,
now
that's the moment that Dennis Wise thought you were playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched it. I watched most of what I watched sitting next to Kath, who didn't take her eye off the screen, and I was having conversations with her while she was watching you. And because she knows you well, I was able to say to her, "Is he being Iain Lee at the moment?" And she was saying, "Yep, Iain Lee. That's Iain Lee. That's Iain Lee. That's Iain Lee. Oh, now he's broadcasting."
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well done, Kath.
Are you still continuing to diet? Asks Carol on Twitter.
Yes, I want to keep this weight off, but let's see what happens. I had a big burger I had a $40 burger in this ridiculous hotel last night, so let's see.
We got. I'll take one more tweet and one more call, and then we'll take the news, and maybe Iain. Then you've got to go to breakfast. So
I've got to go and have a shower and get breakfasted. Yes.
I like this tweet from Alfred. Was there any sexual tension on the show?
I didn't notice any. Certainly not between me and anyone. I don't know if there was between anyone else.
And to Barry in Weston-super-Mare.
There's a bit between Amir and Jamie Lomas, wasn't there?
I think there may have been.
There's a lot of measuring going on.
Yeah, everyone had their willies out and was measuring them and waving them around. Metaphorically speaking, yes.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
Barry in Weston-super-Mare, you're through to Iain.
Hello, Iain, mate. It's nice to see you back.
Thank you, Barry.
Can I just say, Iain, thanks to Tommy Rufus and Jamie who've held the fort and done a sterling job for you while you've been away.
All excellent men, but don't forget they are being paid for it.
Yeah, and can I just say, real ambassador, a real professional, Iain.
Barry,
it's fine. Carry on.
Are you Quarret there, Barry? Quarret?
I beg your pardon, Iain.
No, I'm Tommy, but you're flattering me.
Oh, right, yes. Well, Tommy, just to say that Iain has been a real ambassador. I think he's really promoted the show. And can I just say to Iain that Kathleen has been a real pillar of support for you, Iain.
There we are.
There we go. We love Kath.
Thank you very much indeed, Barry. Nice one. This one intrigues me. A tweet, Iain, from Leslie White. Yeah. Does Iain Lee know that he missed a fab tweet from Bob Mortimer?
I saw a couple of tweets from Bob Mortimer. I don't know if those are the ones she's referring to, but yes, I'm a huge fan of Vic and Bob, so it was incredible that I saw Bob had been tweeting his support. I was thrilled by that.
He said something like, "Get in, you beautiful bar steward."
Oh yes, I did see that one.
And also, in unrelated news, you got something from Sports Video Keith.
Oh really? I'll have to check that one out. I missed that one.
He's also in your corner.
Oh, good for him. Well done. Well done.
Iain Lee's about to go to breakfast.
Yes.
He's come out of the celebrity jungle smelling of roses, and he's going to be back with you very soon. It might be Monday next week in person, that's to say live in the studio, or it might be using technology sometime before then, so watch this space. One last quick tweet from Alexander K. Williams.
Yeah.
Iain, it says this: Iain came across really well. I hear the prize money is going to help his mum out. Top fella.
Thank you to the first bit. The second bit's not true. I don't know what that story came from, but she'll get a box of chocolates out of it at least.
Okay, and there's all of that to talk about the press coverage when you're back in the hot seat, Iain.
Tommy, listen, I couldn't have a nicer and better broadcaster sitting in my chair, keeping it warm. So thank you, mate, and thanks for letting me come on. I know it's a weird old thing, me being on my own show, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, man.
It was surreal, and back at you, all of what you said.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Bye, Kath. See you later.
Bye.
Iain Lee, obviously. Back announcing, really, do you? Right, okay, well, it's a shame. We could have done that all evening long, I think, because the phone lines were red hot.